I think I'm gay, I whispered and waited for my world to end. The words hung in the humid evening air between us, stark and terrifying in their simplicity. We were sitting on the steps of a small temple I couldn't pronounce the name of, having escaped there after what could generously be called the most awkward dinner of my life. It had started innocently enough. Kamon had suggested we try a local restaurant that his family frequented, a place where real Thais ate and where I could experience authentic northern cuisine. What he hadn't mentioned was that his best friend Nairan would be there, or that Nairan had very strong opinions about Western tourists and their impact on Thai culture. Another Farang who thinks he understands Thailand after 1 week, Nairan had said in English, clearly intending for me to understand. His smile was polite, but his eyes were cold. How refreshing. The evening had gone downhill from there. Now, 3 hours later, I was sitting on temple steps having what might be the most important conversation of my life, while Kamon stared at me with an expression I couldn't read. You think? He said finally, his voice carefully neutral. I almost laughed, but it came out as more of a choked sound. I think I've been thinking it for a while now and just not letting myself acknowledge it. And now I'm sitting in Thailand telling someone I've known for a week that I might be gay. I buried my face in my hands. God, that sounds insane when I say it out loud. Ryan. Kamon's voice was gentle, and I felt the warmth of his hand settling on my shoulder. Look at me. I raised my head reluctantly, expecting to see pity or confusion or worst of all, that polite distance that meant he was already figuring out how to extract himself from this situation. Instead, I saw something that looked like relief. Thank you, he said simply, for telling me. That's it. I blinked at him. Thank you. What did you expect? I don't know. Shock. Or a lecture about how you're not interested in confused tourists having quarter-life crises. Kamon's laugh was soft and real. Ryan, I've been wondering if you were going to figure it out for days now. You've been, what? The way you look at me, he said, and I felt heat flood my cheeks. The way you react when I touch you. The way you seem to panic every time we got too close. His thumb rubbed small circles on my shoulder. I wasn't sure if you knew. I didn't, I said honestly. Or I did, but I wasn't letting myself know, if that makes sense. It makes perfect sense. We sat in silence for a moment, temple bells creating a gentle soundtrack to my internal revolution. The realization that Kamon had been aware of my attraction, had been watching me figure it out, should have been mortifying. Instead, it felt like relief. Is this why Nairan hates me? I asked eventually. Kamon sighed. Nairan doesn't hate you. He's just protective. He thinks Western tourists come here and treat Thai people like exotic experiences. Take what they want and leave without looking back. And you? Do you think that's what I'm doing? The question was out before I could stop it, raw and vulnerable in a way that made me want to take it back immediately. But Kamon considered it seriously, his hand still warm on my shoulder. I think, he said carefully, that you came here looking for yourself, and you're brave enough to be honest about what you find. Even when it's scary. This is terrifying, I admitted. I don't know what I'm doing, Kamon. I've never felt like this about anyone, let alone a man. I don't know the rules or the protocols or how any of this works. There aren't rules, he said softly. There's just how you feel and what you want to do about it. And what I feel is... I took a shaky breath. What I feel is that I'm falling for you. Art. And I have no idea what to do with that. The admission hung between us like a challenge. Kamon's hand stilled on my shoulder, and for a moment I was sure I'd pushed too far, said too much, ruined whatever delicate thing had been building between us. Then he smiled, soft and real and devastating. I'm falling for you too, he said simply. Really? Really? His hand moved from my shoulder to cup my cheek, the same gentle touch from the Lantern Festival. I've been falling for you since you butchered that temple greeting on your first day. That's embarrassing. It was charming. It was a disaster. It was authentic. His thumb brushed across my cheekbone. You don't pretend to be anything other than exactly who you are. Do you know how rare that is? And don't worry about Nairan, he added softly. He'll come around. He always does when he sees I'm happy. I leaned into his touch, feeling something settle in my chest that had been restless for days. So what happens now? Now we figure it out as we go, he said. If you want to. I want to, I said immediately, then felt compelled to add, but I should probably warn you that I have no idea what I'm doing. The gay thing is pretty new territory for me. The caring about someone who's leaving in 3 weeks thing is new territory for me, he replied. So we're both improvising. 3 weeks. The reminder of my departure date hit like cold water. In all my internal drama about sexuality and attraction and feelings, I'd somehow managed to forget the most practical problem we faced. What if this is just vacation attraction? I asked quietly. What if I go home and realize this was all just some kind of travel-induced delusion? What if it's not? What if it's not but distance kills it anyway? What if we're borrowing trouble? I looked at him, this man who had somehow become the center of my world in less than a week, and felt something shift inside me. Something that had been clenched tight with fear and uncertainty began to relax. You're right, I said. We're borrowing trouble. I usually am right, he said with a grin. Emma finds it very annoying. Speaking of Emma, how do you think she's going to react to this news? Emma's going to claim she orchestrated the whole thing and demand credit for your sexual awakening. I groaned. She's going to be insufferable, isn't she? Absolutely. Kamon's expression grew more serious. But she's also going to be happy for us. For me. She's been telling me for months that I need to take more chances. And this is a chance worth taking? You are definitely a chance worth taking. The way he said it, quiet and certain, made my heart do gymnastics. Before I could lose my nerve, I leaned forward and pressed my lips to his, soft and tentative and nothing like the almost kiss from the Lantern Festival. This time there were no fireworks to interrupt us. No crowds, no noise, no distractions. Just Kamon's soft intake of breath and the way his hands slipped into my hair and the perfect, terrifying rightness of kissing someone who felt like coming home. When we broke apart, both breathing a little unsteadily, I rested my forehead against his. Was that okay? I asked, suddenly uncertain. That was perfect, he whispered. Even though I have no idea what I'm doing? Especially because you have no idea what you're doing. It means every choice you make is deliberate. We sat there for a while longer, not talking, just existing in the space we'd created with honesty and possibility. The temple bells continued their gentle song, and somewhere in the distance I could hear the sounds of Chiang Mai settling into evening. Motorbikes puttering down narrow streets, vendors calling out their final sales, the distant laughter of people heading home after dinner. We should probably head back, Kamon said eventually, though he made no move to get up. Malay will worry if you're too late. In a minute, I said, not ready to break the spell of this moment, this place, this conversation that had changed everything. In a minute, he agreed. But when we finally did make our way back to his truck, walking close enough that our hands brushed with every step, I felt lighter than I had in years. Not because I'd figured everything out, I was still confused about a dozen different things, still worried about the future, still had no idea how to navigate being attracted to men, but because I'd been honest about it. I'd told the truth and the world hadn't ended. In fact, it had gotten significantly better. Ryan. Kamon said as we reached Malay's guest house. Yeah. Tomorrow, would you like to meet my grandmother? The question was casual, but something in his voice told me it was anything but. Meeting someone's grandmother felt significant, felt like a statement about intentions and the seriousness of whatever this was becoming. I'd love to, I said. His smile was brilliant in the dim light from the guesthouse windows. Good. She's going to love you. How can you be sure? Because I do, he said simply, and then he was gone, leaving me standing in the courtyard with those words echoing in my head and the taste of possibility on my lips. I do. Present tense, not future conditional. Not might or could or if things work out. I do. As I climbed the stairs to my room, I caught sight of myself in the mirror at the landing and barely recognized the person looking back. Same face, same hair, same ridiculous tourist clothes. But something fundamental had shifted, something in the way I held myself, the expression in my eyes. A week ago, I'd been Ryan Mitchell, recently unemployed marketing associate from Seattle, taking a solo trip to find himself. Tonight, I was Ryan Mitchell, who had just kissed a man on temple steps and discovered that everything he thought he knew about himself was just the beginning. Tomorrow, I was going to meet Kamon's grandmother. And for the first time since arriving in Thailand, I wasn't worried about what came next. I was excited about it,